Hello everyone, this is Spliced and welcome back to another customization video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my Warden, and this is probably going to be the last video in this mini-series that I made, mainly because you can't really show off the customization for the Vikings since they don't really have too much going for them, so there isn't really too much diversity in them, so I can't really show much for that. And secondly, I've been getting quite a lot of requests for the Warden, which is surprising enough that I didn't make this video first, because the Warden, out of my 3 characters that I showed so far, is the most complex out of them all. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with the helmet, and right off the bat, as soon as I saw this helmet, I immediately chose it. And the reason why is because, if you guys do not know, I am quite a big fan of Lord of the Rings, and this helmet resonates and resembles a lot of the helmets from Lord of the Rings, especially the Witch King from Lord of the Rings 3, and also some other characters as well. As soon as I saw this helmet, I immediately went for it, and it, to me, I think is one of the cooler helmets. Even though this helmet, I do definitely agree, and I would definitely still use this helmet without a problem, but if I have to compare these two, I definitely like this one a lot more, and I know a lot of people might disagree, but personally, since I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings and it reminds me a lot of that, I had to go for it immediately. Moving on to the chest piece, this one is pretty straightforward. I decided to go for the one that has the skull on the front. And also the armor itself is not too bad looking, but there isn't really anything special about it. All these other chest pieces have the same standards on the back. The belt doesn't really have anything going for it. There's nothing really anything special to really comment about. It's just a little bit darker chainmail. The other ones have these belts that go off on the side. This one goes straight through the middle. Kind of like it a little bit more. And that's about it for the chest piece. There isn't really anything else to talk about. Moving on to the arms, this one is a little bit more self-explanatory, or a little less self-explanatory than the chest piece, but I decided to ultimately go over this because of its size. I really like size when it comes to characters, and the Warden has a really nice shoulder piece that goes with it that gives these 3 blades on the left shoulder, and the piece of it itself is really big, as well as the right side has pretty good size to it as well. I would go for the spikes generally, but because the shoulder pieces are really small in comparison to this, I ultimately decided to go for this because it makes the character a little bit more bigger, and with size come intimidation, and I like the intimidation value for the Warden. There are some other spiked options, but I ultimately don't really like them, and these other ones are not really the best. And of course, these are not all the options that the Warden has, but out of all the options that there are, this one is my favorite. Moving on to the weapon. Now this one is a little bit interesting. There is a lot of different designs and ideas I did like, and I did like the Endora blade at first because it made the whole blade gold, but I decided to ultimately go for this because it's more shiny and it also looks a lot more clean. At the end, it has those ridges that really add to the blade a bit. And there is the curved one and some other ones in the kit as well that you can unlock, but from when I got them and I compared them, I ended up dismantling them, not for any reason, but because my inventory was full at the time and I didn't really have any use for them, but also because I didn't really like it that much. For me personally, I think that the cleaner straight blade is more for the Warden's tastes and not really the curved blade, even though the curved blade does look really nice. Moving on to the hilt, this one was pretty easy for me to decide as soon as I saw it. The dragon head is really nice design. I like it a lot. There was this other one that I did go for the longest time, and it had an eagle hilt on the end, and it looked really nice, but the problem is that the hilt itself, the part where your character grabs, didn't really look too great. And the dragon head in itself is also really nice by itself, so I didn't really have to worry about any loss in terms of personal preference. All the other hilts are pretty nice too. This one is pretty nice. It goes with the Gilgamesh blade because it is part of its kit, and then the set I should say, and then there's some other ones as well, but In terms of which one I prefer over the other ones, I would like to choose this one because it does also go with the gold-ish theme of the sword that I was going with. And moving on to the guard, this one is a little bit controversial because I do like this design. I like how it has a V shape instead of a straight T shape. And as soon as I saw this, I thought it was a really, really cool guard. It's probably going to be instantly my favorite until I saw the middle of the guard, and it has a giant wolf head in the middle, which kind of threw me off quite a bit, and it put me on the sidelines of willing if I wanted to actually go for this or if I wanted to keep my old one, which was more of an inward curved guard. I can't really explain which one it was, but I ultimately decided to go for this one mainly because of its unique curvature to it, and also because it's a lot more bigger than the other ones, and I like to go for size over most of my things. But if the size does not really equate to its detail and its preference towards me, then I won't choose it. But in the end, made a pretty nice blade, and I do very much enjoy it. So that's it for the design choices for this character. I went through many transformations of him, and he is still a work in progress in terms of his armor. So this will definitely not be the end game for him, as I'm still looking for more options to change him every day. But this is one that I've satisfied myself on, and I'm going to be staying with for a little while. So now that that is out of the way, we're going to be moving on to the color palettes and my decisions for that. And this one has caused quite a bit of a stir with some of the people about this. A lot of people say, oh, the Warden looks really cool. But a lot of people say, okay, you really destroyed your Warden. You made your character look really ugly by putting all these paint patterns all over him and all this weird stuff. And I'll explain why I did it. So moving on to the paint pattern of the head, you can't really see the paint pattern of the head because the symbol blocks it, but I decided to go with Galaxy 6 because out of the many other ones, this one is a little bit more blendish with the helmet. It doesn't really take away from it. These ones on the side kind of have these sparkles, and I don't really like that. This one is pretty much the same thing. So this one kind of just blends, has a nice blue to it, so I decided to go with it. Going on to the symbol. Now, I decided to go with the prismatic asteroid because of its many different colors that it goes with, the different shades and all the different color palettes. And that might sound weird at first, but if you compare yourself to something like this with the colors, or this or this or that, these colors really don't work well. And when you put this on, it eliminates that, but also adds some more of its own value to it and more variety. The white shade is nice. The cracks on it makes it really cool, in my personal opinion. I think it's a really nice thing. And while the helmet probably, in most people's opinion, should be completely blank or just an engraving on there, which I do agree for the most part, I don't really think that going plain for this helmet was the best choice, even though if you did want to replicate the Sauron helmet from Lord of the Rings, maybe that would be a good choice to go with. But I don't like to try to replicate things. I try to take stuff as a reference and then make my own thing out of it. And this is something I saw, and when I made it, I enjoyed it immediately. And the reason why I don't choose this one is because it has too much of one color on one side and it looks kind of weird. And this one is not enough color, and it just doesn't really work well. This one, in my opinion, is the best one to use. Going on to the shoulders, pretty self-explanatory. Had Galaxy 6, and then I had the gold lists. You can't really see them, but it is there. Mostly on the right shoulder, you'll see it, and the semicircles that pop out of the shoulder do definitely block it out, but it doesn't really matter that much because they are shoulder pieces, so shoulder pieces don't really have anything you need to worry about. Moving on to the standards. Okay, so this one is interesting because I can change this at any time, no problem. I went with Galaxy 6 again. It seems to be the theme that I like because it makes it all blurry and blendish, when these ones, they just look all sparkly and dotted, and I don't really like them too much. But Galaxy 6 looks pretty nice. When you go to the symbols, Prismatic Asteroid 5 again is my choice. This one is a little bit too clunky, and this one is just too one-sided color. The Prismatic Asteroid has the most diversity, and I like it the most. However, I am free to change this at whenever I want, because it doesn't really add anything down there. It's just random rocks on the legs. So when I put this here, I just decided to keep it because it was the new mythic outfit at the time, so I was more hyped to use this rather than like the gold list. And at the same time, the gold list doesn't really look like it blends too well with this color. This color seems to go with the actual outfit because it is part of the outfit. And then of course if I were to choose something else like one of these plain ones, they're a wrong color and I don't really think it's perfectly suited. But I definitely could change between this one and that one, or even buy the Battlefield Chick Elite outfit and put the swords on there as well, which I am considering currently. So that is it. Let's go to the colors over here real quick. I choose, of course, Neon Future because that is with the mythic outfit, and it makes all the galaxy colors the color that it should be and not just a random colors. For example, if I do this, the galaxy goes away and it looks all plain. It doesn't really have a good blend to it. So that's why I decided to choose this, because it makes it look a lot nicer. Material, of course, black iron makes everything else stand out, but with the Warden, with the chest piece, doesn't really have any really black iron going on the chest piece. It's more so on the arms and the helmet, which is okay. Still looks nice. It's a lot better than most of these colors, in my opinion. On the back is Galaxy 6, and of course my emblem there. It's nothing really special. This is subject to change, of course, as well, just like everything else. And now it is time for the most complex part after I show you guys my ornament. War Machine is the one I went with, which is one of the mythic outfits as well. And the other ones were Iron Worm and Obsidian Crown. I like these very, very close together, but this one speaks to me a little bit more. Maybe mostly because it has more of a wing design compared to this one is more of a spiky worm crown thing, and this one is straight up a Sauron's crown. And I decided to go for this first because it goes with the helmet and it suits the build a little bit more. But this one by itself gives a little bit more of an intimidation value, and the design itself is really nice, really slick. So I decided to go with this one, and I really enjoyed it. My old ornament was this one, and it's okay. I like it a lot, but as soon as these ones started coming out, I immediately jumped the gun, and I went over these instead. And now it is time for the part that people don't really understand about this character, and why is it so expensive, and why it has so many different things when people don't actually realize that it has a lot of different things. So when you go to the outfits, you'll notice that there are a lot of things bought with him, and those are the mythic outfits. I have 4 mythic outfits for this character, and it might seem like that's not true, but let me explain. So for the first one that I bought immediately when the game came out was the Flying Liss, and that is the mythic outfit that I had for the longest time. And at first it had a bunch of different things on it, but now all it has is the gold list part from it and the Hellfire Execution effect. So these 2 things from the Flying Liss are on the character. When you go to Solaris, all that is here from Solaris is the idol and emote, which is the plasma shock effect. And that's what I originally bought this for, but I did use the paint patterns for a while until the new paint patterns came out for the Prismatic Galaxy. So that's what I have for Solaris. The other reason I bought it too was because of the Worm God Crown. At the time, this was the only one in the 3 that I bought that was out first, and that's why I chose it. Next, we have a Prismatic Galaxy. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It has the paint pattern that I chose to go with the theme for the character, as well as the Sauron's crown. And I didn't use the effect at all. I don't really think the effect is that great for this character, or in general, in my opinion. Of course, people are free to choose what they want for their effects, but me personally, it just doesn't really shine too well, and I don't really like it. So I bought this for the ornament, and I bought it for the paint patterns. And finally, Arcadia's Champion. This one is the least rewarding one out of all. I simply bought this one 15,000 steel only for the ornament. I only cared about the ornament for this character. I didn't care about the effects. I didn't care about the paint pattern or the symbols. All I wanted was the ornament, so that's why I spent 15k on this character. On that outfit, I should say. So there you go. That's all there really is to this character. It may look a little bit more simple than you think, but it actually has a lot of depth into the character. If we go over to the effects, you can see that I have all of these mythic outfits unlocked right here, all 4 of them, and that is it. So this is all the effort I put into this character over the last 3 seasons. Season 4 is coming up, so I'm pretty excited to see how all my characters are going to change. And there you go. So now you guys finally know how I make this character and my thought process through all of the times that I changed him. I'm really excited to see, again, what the future holds for all the gear and different mythics and effects that are going to come out. But with that being said, hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys later.